Thank you, Conrado, even if it's probably not a gift to give me the last presentation before lunch. So I'll have to be short and effective, and also sometimes to try to shake you up a little bit to make sure you're not falling asleep. First of all, why I'm here. I'm a collector, but I'm also an investment banker. My daughters keep asking me, after the years, asking me, Daddy, what are you doing exactly? Because you're just on your computer and on the phone the whole day, but are people really paying you for doing something like this? And yes, in fact, I'm paid to in fact manage information, and that's what people are ready to pay for. And sometimes those observations that I'm making are allowing me to make good financial decisions, which eventually pay the bills and some arts. So first of all, I think it's important, a lot of very interesting comments have been made this morning. I think it's important to step back. It happens very often in finance that if you don't find the real solution to your problem, take one step back. We've been talking about galleries and how galleries could find a solution to their problems. I think one solution is, first of all, to take a step back and to involve more people than galleries alone. Galleries alone cannot find a solution to their problem. So what kind of world are we stepping in? It's a world that a lot of industries have known for a long time. Think about the watch industry in Switzerland. Who would have thought that in 1980s the watch industry for Switzerland would be almost on its knees, totally disappearing, killed by the Japanese quartz industry? And you needed Mr. Hayek to save it and to make it worthwhile. Who would have thought that journals would be given away free in the subway every morning, that you would not pay for the press anymore? Who would believe that whole press group will go away? Washington Post sold to an entrepreneur. Who would have thought that the DVD would disappear, completely replaced by something else? How would believe that we would consume music the way we're doing it since Steve Jobs invented it? So the thing is, it is a simple cycle of evolution. The thing is that sometimes the art industry was not aware. It has been living under the radar forever because it was a small industry with little money involved. When we've seen a lot of graph today, when it started going from $10 million to $1 billion, then people started noticing, and it was not the same thing anymore. So things change dramatically quickly, and this is what happens. So what can you do? There's been many things discussed. Anne was asking, what is the model? I tried to give some ideas. First of all, you cannot go against the grain. You cannot go against the move of the river. You've got to live within what's existing, and I will describe very briefly what is existing at the beginning. I tried to wake you up by saying one thing. There's been a lot of description of what a gallerist is. So I'll give my opinion as a collector because I'm one of their clients. What I expect from a gallery is, first of all, to be a curator, as Victor mentioned it, to be able to, in the thousands of artists that exist or are producing works, someone is doing the analysis job, the selection job among them. And the second thing is the relationship to the artist is to develop the artist, nurture him, protect him, help him to develop in a long-term basis. So that's the two key elements. The third is, as Victor was saying, was show, tell, and sell. So that's the first two I just mentioned, and of course selling. The problem is at the moment the selling is taking over a lot of the rest. Not in all galleries, certainly not in the smaller size we've seen, but still we heard about a lot of selling. So that's the danger, because if galleries are focusing only on that point, in a way, we would not need them anymore. Because they are retailers, and retailers come and went across the history. See the history of the shopping malls, see the history of the luxury market, bags and so on. I mean, in the past it was small retailers, and suddenly it became big machines. So in a point we could do without, if they don't do a job that they have to define by themselves, and that is following an economical necessity. This is a quote I got from an email very recently from a friend of mine, if I can consider a friend of mine, sitting in the room. I didn't put the name on because I was not sure she would accept I quote her. It's Annette Schoenholzer from Art Basel. And I find very interesting this quote is that, you know, when you've been in different continents like Asia and China, you're seeing that the art market or the art world work without the gallery system as we know it. So why should it be that the gallery system in Europe should keep going on forever if it's not finding an economical use? It can disappear. It can not exist. So it is the question mark I will put around this, and that it's what is well defined here is that we're opening up to what I'm saying is that a reliable relationship and responsibilities between galleries, artists, collectors, auction houses, and art fairs. I asked Conrado here to make a little something for me, is to gather some auction houses. We've been speaking briefly about them, but the auction houses are probably one of the worst competitor to the galleries right now. This is just 2 months of auction. I would have liked to bring the whole year. It would probably have been hiding me to this level. But this art is sold, and this art is sometimes of good quality. So we have to thank people like Philippe Segalo, for example, like 10 years ago, for opening up Christie's to very, very young artists. And that's kind of opened a Pandora box that is not closing down anymore. And art fairs as well. Briefly, the context, because again, I said you've got to understand the context to know what you can do within this context. You've got the famous mega galleries. We spoke about it, different things. They are not the bad boys. Let's be clear about it. No one is bad. They're just competitors. They're just people that have different priorities, different constraints. You know, I would not like always to be in the shoes of Mark Glimcher at Pace or David Zwirner or Emmanuel Perrotin. You know, he was very candid in an interview in the art newspaper when he said, you know, I didn't go to New York because I wanted it. I went to New York, yes, I was interested, but I was, you know, I didn't want, I love this quote, I don't want to be the biggest, I just don't want to lose. And so I need to make a move. Today it's simple. The principle at the top is grow or go. Either you're growing and you're making it bigger for the bigger artists and so on, because what they're doing is they are after a certain group of very bankable artists. I call them VBAs. I like that nicknames. And whether you have super big, like the top five, or you are smaller, a little bit just the level underneath, Xavier Hufkens, Andrea Rosen, Andrew Krebs, they open project space. What is a project space? Is a way for them to try to go after you artists, the ones that are the most promising for the future, giving them a show in their gallery which has got a bigger view than them without taking much risk. But it's a way for them already to grab on new fields, on the field of the small to medium-sized galleries. Auction houses, they're like a big spider. They're just a corporate entity not knowing exactly what it's about, whether it could be about watches, diamonds. I love in the last catalog of Christie's that you know, you've got 45 lots for tomorrow night, I think, among which the big Jeff Koons sculpture. But at the end, they added a beautiful orange diamonds. You know, so in case you didn't like the Koons sculpture, you could still buy the 15 million fantastic orange diamonds, which is funny because it shows just the way we are going. We talked about art. I think, and some of the people knowing me around here know that I'm still interested in art, and this is why I'm talking here today as well. You know, I'm tired of seeing some of my favorite galleries closing down, or some of my favorite galleries becoming director in a bigger gallery. This is a phenomenon we haven't spoke about, but Schroeder Romero now at Zwirner, director at Zwirner. Many of them, I mean, I could go on. I saw again, I was in Istanbul, I saw a guy who had a gallery, I think, in Poland, and suddenly he's a kind of sub-director at Listen Gallery, which is kind of an evolution, but it probably used to be better at night than having your own gallery. So auction houses are the kind of the big spider, the big danger, uncontrollable animal. And they're multiplying because it's not only the big three. I mean, you've got Art Curial got the job bigger and bigger. It's happening everywhere. They're developing something else. They're developing curated sales. You know, last auction you had a curated sales where you had Jason Rubel choosing 5 or 6 things. So that means that you've got a feeling that I spoke about the functions of galleries, that they should be either curating, either nurturing, training, forming the artist. But on the curating side, they are doing already curated sales. They are building up on their information advantage to be for their private sales. I mean, for a long time, I didn't understand how they could not take profit on the fact that I was underbidder on the whatever artist there was to bring me other works. But they do it now in a very organized way. So they know much more than you because they know who has been bidding on this artist actually and up to what level. They are opening spaces for sale exhibition, and they are developing online auction. I go fast on this. Noah spoke briefly about restoration hardware. He said it's a monster of a multi-billion business. And what he's doing is say, okay, why would people not buy works of art when they're buying coaches or silverware or whatever? We know forever that architects have been sometimes selling houses or building houses, but selling the art going with it to the unsophisticated buyers. Sorry. So what about this? They're just opening 3,000 square meters just on 16th Avenue, just under Chelsea. Is it a move against the gallery system or not? Just be careful. It's no time to be doing half measure, because we're coming back to my previous show of the evolution. You know, there's been people who've been wiped out, and there have been industries being wiped out by not understanding soon enough the wave that is going on. So I'm going to start broadening out a little bit. Again, I said the big galleries, and not even the auction houses are the bad boys. Because why? Because they're just enjoying the money that is pouring in. And it's not about just, again, people. It's just suddenly there's an accumulation of money, a huge accumulation of unsophisticated money that is just overwhelming and taking over everything. It's a class of unsophisticated buyers. We mentioned it. I love the example of the collector coming to Victor at the FIAC and not knowing who was Baldessari. You know, I hear that people galleries love to come to Art Brussels sometimes because they say people are not asking them who Picasso is, which happens in other art fairs, I heard from gallerists. So we have that kind of things, and you cannot do anything. And I'm very worried sometimes when I hear, I give some names. I was speaking to Valentin in Turin or Beckers in Munich, and they said independently, they said, you know, I've got a problem because I feel that my program is getting better and better artistically, but I sell less and less. Because the thing is that at the moment, it is an overwhelming wave. You cannot do anything about it. People want to be in those books. People want the thing that will make them money, even if it's a total nonsense to try to make money out of art, except if you are the brightest expert in the field. But with the friction cost as a trader, I can tell you, I mean, from the buying to the selling, there's at least 40% commission from all the intermediary, and at least it's really a minimum. How can you make a profit on something with a 40% bid-offer spreads? I mean, for the one doing some finance, it is totally impossible. So I love that little formula, but you read it probably. So first of all, to understand, we spoke about it with Albert earlier, this wave will stop. I'm announcing that to you today, okay? And I'm in the record, so to the camera, I said it today. Why? Because the world is done of cycle. That's it. That has been always the case, and that will always be the case. Where is this money that seems overwhelming, that seems to have been changing everything, the museum, the art fairs, the galleries, everything? Where is it coming from? It's coming from it started from the Reagan area. One day that cowboy from the U.S. decided that the economy, the U.S. economy, was almost dead. No innovation, no development anymore. We were just coming out of the oil crisis. So he said, okay, I'm going to slash capital gain tax from 80%. Can you believe that in the 1970s, capital gain tax in the U.S. was 80%? He slashed this from 80 to 17. And he showed that, in fact, by doing that, the deficit was getting smaller. It seems technical and stupid, but it started a ball rolling. And that ball rolling is the one that you see on the graph on the right. This is the income share of the top 1%. You see that back in the 1930s, you had because it's starting in the 1930s, I hope you can see it more or less, yes. So we are back to the time of the 1930s. The bottom of it was exactly the time I mentioned, the 1980s. That you have then, at that time, the share of the income, of the US income that was accruing to the 1%, the top 1%, was only around 8 to 9%. Of course, then people were not motivated to work anymore, to do the entrepreneur and everything. So it started this ball rolling, but since then, everybody is following that role. Which means that suddenly taking advantage of also big opportunities, because just following that, you had China, who just opened up. China opened up not because they're nice people, just because they said we've got 20 million peasants coming to the cities every year. If we don't find them a job, after 10 years, we've got 200 million unemployed in the cities, and we will lose the system, the communist system. So they started saying, okay, we will keep them busy. And that's what they said. They opened their market, and the very smart capitalists moved the factories from Illinois to Shenzhen. And it was easy, and there they had no problem of regulation, ecological regulation, nothing, anything. So it was just printed money for them. And the Chinese were very happy because they were not looking for a profit. They were just looking for employing their peasants. So it started accumulating the whole elements. The result is what we have today. The 1% is now controlling above of 20% of the income. I'm not Marxist like my dear friend Albert anymore, but anyway, it's just understanding where we are. You see that cycle, it will turn down. And that's important. I don't know when, but it will turn down. Just a little graph to say that it's not only the 1%, it's that the 1% of 1%, I mean the filthily rich people are even doing better, because if you take here, you've got all the 1% only, but the increase in the income of the 1% of 1% is a multiple of the one from the 1% only. So we saw this graph already quite a few times. I put it into two form. What is interesting is just the boom. I could not believe myself that in the 2000, I started collecting around 97, 96. I could not believe that in 2000, after 1960 auctions of artworks in the world was about 100 or what is it, 87 million dollars. It's not even a Phillips auction anymore. And but then it went to 1.3 billion. It's not the figure that interests me. It's just saying, why are you gallerists all a little bit shaken? Is that, it was really a wave of money, and it was really fast. So you don't have the time to think about it. You need to act now. Otherwise, you will possibly disappear. So that's the same thing. Just following on this, there was a study from a university which I like. It was quoted in the LA Times at the time. So they looked at the prices of art from 1908 to 2005, and they find that the most common variable explaining the move in prices of art was the inequality. That means that the bigger the inequality, the higher the prices are, which is exactly what we're seeing in some way. But don't worry, I said it will turn around. If you look, like I do, to the evolution of the fiscality, it starts moving a little bit everywhere. You've seen what happened even with Switzerland. Who would have believed a few years ago that Switzerland would give up their banking secret? I could not have believed that, that's for sure, that it would happen during my lifetime. Same, you have a report from the IMF itself. I mean, IMF is the one that the artists are drawing on their art by saying, you know, it's the bad guy. The IMF said, you know, we should rebalance the taxes on the wealthy, because at the moment it's only the poor which is paying the crisis. If we were bringing back the wealthy only to the level of taxes they were paying in 2000, suddenly you would have something like $200 billion going taken off of the budget around the world. 200 billion just by bringing it back to the level of taxation that was ongoing in 2000. So if the IMF is saying that, and at one point, I mean, it's always funny as a system, it's still one man, one vote. Why are people voting for a system that is just favoring the top 1%? I still don't understand it. But so I'm sure that human beings will be smart enough at one point and be able to turn it around. So it will happen. I don't know when, but it will happen. In the meantime, our galleries have got to survive. How are you going to do it? Because I gave the example of those galleries. Right now, it's really hard. If you really have a difficult program that you are, and we've seen the examples here, you are in trouble because the number of people of interest in the one doing the art fair, the VIP art fairs of which I'm part, that are involved in this are very few, because we all want to go to the new thing, the hot thing, and so on. And the fashion business is doing it. There's a branding element. So branding and fashion as the two techniques that are used for doing that. So how do we do it? The only way, then it came an idea from me. I was looking at a documentary. I'm an absolute fanatic of documentaries about anything. And I watched a documentary about the Second World War. And you know how the French are fighting each other all the time. But even them, they managed to work together. The communists, the clerical, the nobles, from the north, from the south, the ones supporting Paris Saint-Germain, the ones supporting OM, they all worked together during 5 years to try to throw out the oppressor, the Germans, during the Second World War. That means that they worked together, they spoke together, despite they have their difference of interest. So that's my kind of opening up statement about it. The galleries should work, but not only together. It's with the different element of the ecosystem. There are collectors interested in speaking about real art. Still, it's true that it's a minority. It's true that we are pushed towards owning an Oscar Murillo, because sometimes if the galleries is offering it to you, why not take it? I mean, it's easy money. So, but still, you can be interested in arts and wanting to develop that element. There are also institutions doing a very good job. We spoke about university earlier. There are media. We spoke about journals. I mean, it's always under the radar, but has anybody looked at eFlux journals? I mean, it's free, it's online, and for me, it's the best writing on art that is available right now. It's totally in digest, it's perfect to fall asleep at night, but still, it's the best writing about art that is available right now. So, how to go? First of all, develop the professionalization of things. It is true that galleries have been working at a slow pace. I still say that a gallerist is usually waking up around 10, going to bed around 2, after having drunk too much. And it's true that, and mostly staying among friends and not those stupid, wasted collectors that go to bed at midnight and are very boring most of the time. But that's the way it is. Now, it is true. Unfortunately, as Albert was saying it, now we arrived in an industry, because we're not playing for peanuts anymore, we're playing for big money. And so we need to be a little bit more professional. One of them is, the first question is to discuss what is the role of the gallery. And again, I'm trying to broaden up a little bit your horizon. In those time of changes and crises, you need to think outside of the box, outside of the usual way of thinking, the same way as Hayek did it, the same way as the big entrepreneur of internet do it, that Steve Jobs are doing it. The one that are surviving are the one able to think outside of the box. So I like, for example, the project of the public school. We spoke about education, exchange. I totally agree with that. The gallery should be used for that because it's very empty most of the time. So why not use it? It's a meeting place. It could be a forum. And if you know the example of the public school came from the West Coast. It's a project that is international. And in fact, the gallerist is opening a space to whatever subject people want to discuss about. If they want to speak about the Iranian nuclear discussions, they post the subject on internet, and when they have 15 people interested in the subject, they try to find someone able to speak about it, and they say, okay, we meet on November 16 at 6:30. Who wants to come? It's not saying about the gallery, but it's still a forum, and we're still talking, we're still exchanging ideas, which is what art is about in some way. Or if you don't do it yourself, you will have competition. Again, if you don't do it with the money involved right now, there will be people doing it. And you've got startups like Gertrude, just started in New York, and it's kind of an internet community where you can meet people. And I saw that you've seen that Noah, who was involved there. Anyway, there was the usual suspects kind of involved there. The better use of IT and internet, I know that we're going to cover the subject tomorrow, but I think it's absolutely essential. And sometimes I'm ashamed how illiterate and technically the galleries are. They're kind of proud of saying, oh, no, sorry, no emails, no Twitter. Twitter? What's Twitter? I would like to get there, but I'm sorry, no. But there are simple things. I mean, sometimes you are paying hundreds of thousands of euros to make a catalog. You do 400 copies because, 200 copies are left in the basements. Fortunately, you've got Sandy coming once every 100 years to sweep it away because you would not throw it away by yourself. So, but if you put it on the internet, then suddenly you're opening up to another levels. And it's very simple. You do the PDF, you put it on the website. But then be intelligent. Don't do one of those super fancy websites that like galleries like to do, that you arrive and you've got a flash in your face and things. What the fuck is the address of the gallery? I'd like to go to the gallery, but I don't find it. And worst of it is that they are not referenceable on Google. Google is the king. If you've got a website that is just opening up like whatever, Gagosian Gallery, and then underneath, Google cannot get inside. So they will never find your catalog that you put on the website. For me, it's simple. You are representing an artist. You are Googling the artist's name, your gallery, and your catalog should come up first thing. Simple. That's simple. That costs nothing, and that should be done. Same with online sales. A lot of galleries are selling things for, as Noah mentioned it, certainly under $10,000 to $20,000. Sometimes people are buying reproduction for this. Why not also opening up to the people that are buying art for the first time? Why not opening up to the distribution systems? Like Artsy, First Dips, or even Amazon. I mean, it's nothing dirty, but it can maybe increase your sales by 15-20% on a year basis, and maybe that will make a difference to a small gallery budget at the end of the year. I would not even quote the number of examples of video use. I mean, why the hell is no gallery I know, absolutely none of them, using the website to do videos? I mean, I would like sometime, I cannot go to Paris to see Sammy Abraham's beautiful exhibition, for example, in Belleville, but it would be nice not only to have shots, but to walk through the gallery, maybe have a little interview of the artist at the same time. It costs very little. It can be posted on internet, and then I know more about the artist. It's a way of distributing more. I mean, the example out there, you've got Google Art Talks, you've got Saffignard, which is a company who's able, I discussed with them before even quoting them because I didn't want to quote anybody that I would not trust. And those people are just able to do, on a yearly basis, for example, up to 4 videos of your show for under 1,500 euro. And you have a 2-minute professional video that you can post anywhere. You can post it on a website. You can post it anywhere. Instagram, Econo TV, Vdrome, which is a wonderful way of presenting videos today. Mocha TV, which suddenly had something like 400,000 followers in a couple of months because they're doing a fantastic job. So I won't go on this, but there are many examples. As you know, that's the famous new acronym which is appearing as well, which is the famous MOOCs. Massively open online courses. That's now the way of university to teach. And the MoMA started giving the first teaching on internet available to anyone. You've got a course from this time to this time, and you pay a fee. But for me, it's the future, and again, galleries should use that. Language, sorry Albert, but today English is necessary. So unfortunately, the French would hate it, but it's the lingua franca, so everybody should speak English, and it's still very annoying to get into an Italian gallery and the guy looking at you like saying, no, pizza, no, I'm not interested in pizza, I just want to understand your work of art. Opening hours. It looks stupid as well, but sometimes so many galleries are complaining that the galleries are empty, but my God, can you open to times when people can actually visit your spaces? I mean, sometimes it's quite amazing. You know, in Brussels, downtown, their specialty is something. I think the usual opening hours is Wednesday to Saturday, 2 to 6. Sorry, but if I'm not unemployed, I cannot visit your gallery. So what's the point? Please be a little bit smart. The same for the clusters. You know, the Lower East Side started to be the Lower East Side because it opened on Sundays. It is lovely to go down, to have a brunch in the Lower East Side, visit the galleries, buy some clothes, and so on. The same in Brussels, I come back to this later, but downtown Brussels killed itself by not opening on Sundays. And now our clusters of downtown is dead because most of the better gallery we move uptown at a much higher rent, and what's left downtown will die. The same with cooperation with non-profits. I mean, there are very imaginative examples. Crypta 747 is a non-profit that got an underground space at Franco Noero in Turin. But there are other examples. What I mean by this is those elements. Galleries program, it's true that it was a fantastic idea to do that with a group. Again, it was a group of galleries outside of the mainstream, JB Agency, MOTS, and others, that said, you know, why not sharing our experience, our mistakes with the young gallerists, because maybe they can avoid a couple of years of very hard time and avoid some very costly mistakes. And I think it's a very good initiative. Communication, I mean, you should see my email box is kind of crazy. I mean, we're getting into the art fair period. Everybody thinks that they have to send me a nice little thing. I'm going to be at booth G22 on Artissima Art Fair or Taipei Art Fair or this or that, and then it's about 100 and they just get deleted before they enter my email box. And so be a little bit more targeted to the one that are really interested in your program. Even the new things about the newsletter, where you just put a list of exhibition of the artist with no links to whatever. Come on, it's absolutely useless. Crowdfunding, why not using it? Again, people are using it and it exists. It's not perfect, it's not replacing everything, but why not? The Italian pavilions turned to crowdfunding. There was a good article in the Art Info. It's kickstarted the answer of the UK, and Ubik project by Colco's financed their project in Mako, during Mako, with Indigo. So again, it's things, sometimes the art will say, crowdfunding, what is it? Who knows what crowdfunding is? Can you raise your hands? Okay, good. So it's roughly half the community, and I didn't see many galleries raising their hands. So that's probably one of the reasons. But it's a possibility. Second thing I think is important is, again, we are in a war situation. Let's not mince words. It is a life and death. Some very, very good galleries closed. Very good programs. See, the Klosterfeld guy was at Basel, committee members, if I remember, or partly, or Freeze, whatever. 18 years old in the business, the guy was at the top. Why the hell would he close? Maybe because he was fed up that after 18 years, he still didn't have any money made out of the gallery. He kept reinvesting, taking risk. He didn't want to take more risk. Why is he closing? Vidal Cuglietta in Belgium, they were open 3 years, top of the list, what all of you galleries would dream of to being list, sold out show and everything. And suddenly they say, we're closing in September, why? So it is really, it is a war situation. It's important then to speak even to what you call the enemy, which is sometimes the galleries next door. So cooperation across the fences, I go about this. The first thing, and that's the most controversial, will be the relationship between the galleries and the artists. At the moment, it is decaying very clearly. In a long time ago, the relationship between the gallerist and the artist was like a family. I heard that so often at the old time. It was a family relationship. Today, it's not the case anymore for different reasons. From the gallery's point of view, it's so risky. The fixed costs are so high. And again, we spoke about the mega galleries. Think about the fixed costs they have. I mean, I spoke to Mark Glimcher. Pace has got $48 million fixed cost a year. I mean, you cannot take risk with artists anymore, not selling them for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. If you don't sell now, you're dead. It's simple. For them as well at the top. So they cannot take risk anymore. So the artist, the gallerist is under pressure. He needs to sell. We saw it even if the people sitting here at one point you need to sell. The artist on the other side is always convinced, as all artists are, that he will be the next Leonardo da Vinci. So they don't really want to commit to a young galleries. I've got a red flag, so I've got to sometimes shut up at one point, but 5 minutes. I still have a few slides. But it is very important, so I'll be short, but it's very important. There's today a lack of commitment from both parties, the artist and the gallerist. It is essential to put it back together. Otherwise, we will go down to alternative like the artist agents that will represent the artist across different things, and the galleries will lose a lot of their elements, and we will go back to a system which is like in Asia, I mentioned earlier. So the first thing is to make both sides understand. Sometimes the artists as well, because sometimes the artists don't want to commit. Sometimes they don't understand what is to sign a contract. But it's in their interest and the interest of the galleries. And in that contract, there should be elements of the indemnity for transfer. This is an idea I came up with, but you know the football, Real Madrid, Barca, and so on, even them understood the importance of developing young talents. So they said, okay, if we are transferring a player for suddenly 25 million euro, we will pay 2% or 2.5% to all the clubs that have been training them before. If the football industry, with their mind big as a pea, can do it, why is this sublimely intelligent art world not able to do something along those lines? Simple contract saying it will not be about exchange of money, but why would it be that suddenly you are Sami Abraham, you passing at Perrotin, for example, and for 3 years, Sami will still have access to the work. He will enjoy the new coverage. He will recover some part of his investment, and maybe the relationship can go on further. But there are different lines. There should be a standard contract organizing that thing, and I'm sure that the main galleries are very aware of that. I remember the way Sriner supported and gave money to the small galleries after the Sandy, the same with the Art Basel. People understand the necessity of those grassroots galleries, so something like that is possible. Again, between galleries, sometimes I'm ashamed of hearing that in Madrid there is an association, but this one does not get on with this one, so doesn't want him to be there, blah, blah, blah. Come on, what is this? This is play school or something. Okay, this is wartime. This is wartime. No time for discussion anymore. Everyone that is sharing the same objective must be involved. That's very simple. First of all, also there is a generation gap. A lot of people that are born in this environment that I'm describing are used to this. The old generation still thinks a lot about, but it was better this time. We should go back to the art fairs not being like this and this like that. And so, sorry guys, it's over. The train has passed, and now it's time to think about another way of doing business. The problem is that the old generation is very often holding the reins. They are the one which are the member of the selection committee of the Arte Madrid things or whatever, or the member of the selection committee or whatever art fairs. I mean, they don't understand the new trends, and they don't know how they should open themselves to this. So that this generation, I was talking about it with the galleries in Turin. A gallery was complaining, oh no, how is it possible that now I cannot get a collector to follow my whole program? Which was the previous time, you know, a collector was becoming a collector of the gallery, but it doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't work anymore. So you've got to try to be on an artist and so on, so many things. But I'm gonna get I've got a second red card, so to go. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have the cooking getting cold. Creation of clusters is very important. You know, what you like in an art fair is that you put your car in a parking and you walk around and you see good art for 2 hours or more. You know, you can do that in galleries. You can do it in gallery weekend, but you can do that by creating clusters as well.